Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of quickmail.io.
Hey, and this is Jack from salesbread.com. We've got what I'm hoping is a complete kind of podcast for a topic that has never been completed, at least since we started the cast.
Spit it out.
Spit it out. So, as you know, there's many filters, attributes, ways that you can find companies to target, like revenue, industry, size, that kind of thing. But we've never sat down and made an entire list of all of them in one go. And I think we may get there today.
Okay.
But I'm also hoping that as you're listening, dear listener, you may say, I never thought to try that one. It might be worthwhile, right? And so hopefully this will help you refine your list. And as a little word of advice there, it's a good filter to apply when most of your paying customers also belong to that filter, right? And if so, it can help you find more lookalike customers.
Right.
So
and right now we are concentrating on companies filter, not the actual people in the company, right?
Right.
Cool.
Like job title, seniority, duration at the company, right? And so just a heads up, don't be scared. I have 49 in front of me. Jeremy has his list, and I'm sure
50.
I'm sure we're gonna say, oh yeah, and then this one, and then that. We're probably gonna add 3 or 5.
Let's see how many we can go at the end.
Okay, so before we dive in, I'm doing my pitch, and bum. Today, most B2B companies lack the time or expertise to turn cold prospects into warm leads. At salesbread.com, we help you generate 1 lead per day by sending ultra-personalized cold emails and LinkedIn messages. So head over to salesbread.com/contact, get in touch, tell me who you're targeting, tell me what you're selling, and I'm happy to share some insights. If there's some really cool stuff going on, perhaps we can even jump on a call together where you get even more, but it all starts at salesbread.com/contact. Even if you just want to say hi, keep up the podcast. So
good one. I'm getting tired of doing my one-liner. I still haven't done my one-liner, but basically while Jack is finishing his meal, quickmail.io is a fantastic product when it comes to have automation and predictable pipeline with cold outreach, specifically with email. And we have also an auto warmer to improve your email deliverability, which is completely free. And you should go ahead and check it out at quickmail.io.
And you should. That's a no-brainer. Okay, Jeremy-san, should we get into this?
Yes, let's go for it.
Okay.
All right. So what filter can I do if I'm searching for companies?
All right. So category of filter would be people. Okay. So this can be the company size. It can be the department size, right? So that's important. If, let's say, you provide IT services, you probably don't want to go after a company with a massive IT department or even an existing IT department, right? Some examples. And then the last people filter to help you find companies, right, would be this company has a data scientist. This company has a marketer. This company has a board of directors, right? So you may use a job title to identify companies.
Okay, interesting. Like we did that actually, just a real case study. I think at some point we targeted companies with a minimum of 5 people in a sales team. Do you remember that one? Yeah, yes, so I think we did that already. And that contained at least, sales director or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Sales Navigator can help you with that kind of filter. It's not perfectly accurate. You may want to use keywords instead. But anyways, let's keep going because we've got quite a few. Money is another filter you can use. So within the money category, it could be annual revenue, which in my opinion is not a very precise filter. Unless you're going after publicly traded,
Yeah, it needs to be public.
it's going to be, it's an estimate, right? Like how does ZoomInfo know exact revenue for a small SaaS?
Probably market
Right.
size. You know, if the market size estimated 5 billion, there is
It's
X number of
estimated.
company, you have their market share, you know.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's an estimate, something that you may want to look at, but again, it's not going to be dead on. Next is funding. So within funding, you can sort by the funding date, when they got this funding, the funding amount, and the funding round. You could also look at the investor behind the funding, but that's getting pretty granular. I don't know too many cases you would use the investor, but that's funding. Okay.
Okay.
So we can continue. Time is another category. And I'm thinking year founded. So how old of a company do you want to go after? And this can be interesting, right, Jeremy? Like you may not want to target brand new companies, especially if you're going after bootstrapped. You may use time as a filter to show you that the company's got legs, the company's got a real product, right?
Like if you go for startups, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So if you wanted to find bootstrap startups that were profitable, meaning not just
an idea on a piece of paper on burning cash.
You could say, okay, show me startups that haven't raised money but have been in business for at least 2 years. And even if it's sole founder, you know that they're probably working with a product that got legs, right?
Just a word of caution here. Like a lot of people these days put themselves as founder, CEO of a company. They've been in for 14 years and there is only one person in that company, that's themselves. And they still, you know, haven't managed to create a company out of that, a real one, that is.
14 years. Like,
yeah,
do you think
see
they
that on
just
LinkedIn.
fudge the number?
No, I don't think so. It's just like theoretically they have their own sort of like side hustle that, you know, they never actually went anywhere and they're still putting it on their resume because founder looks cool.
Good point. Yeah. So thankfully there's multiple filters, right? That can hopefully keep filtering out people that match one, but not the rest. Okay. So intent, data, right, is this idea or not idea. It's a product you can pay for. It's expensive relative to other prospecting data that third parties will crawl through a bunch of traffic, opt-ins, cookies, and actually tell you which companies are searching for what service or product. So my advice is if you're in a very large market offering a very common service or product, like let's say you're a marketing agency and you want to find out which companies are looking to hire marketing type agencies, you can buy intent data to show you that. And it's a good idea if you're in a very large space. If you're niche down, it's a little bit less of a steal, in my opinion.
Does hiring kind of fit into this category, like the intent? Like, for example, if they're hiring their marketing director, you may contact them with marketing products kind of thing, like because they may be looking at it.
Great question. So yes, with a caveat here. So a good friend of mine runs a bookkeeping company, and at one point in time, he was targeting people that were hiring bookkeepers. His feedback on that campaign was the mindset of somebody hiring a full-time in-house bookkeeper was not the mindset of someone ready to hire, let's say, a bookkeeping partner, where they would, you know, it's a different thing they were going for, and yet it's still won deals. But be aware that if you're selling an outsourced solution to somebody looking to in-house something, there is a big hurdle you're going to have to cross there. So unless it's such a no-brainer, it may not be the best filter, but probably not the worst, right?
Okay.
A good like rule of thumb is like, have any of your paying customers switched over to you as they were considering hiring? So,
Love it.
So yeah. Okay, so let's carry on. We've mentioned hiring. That's a very good filter. Events. So what are we? Well, we're post-COVID here. Events probably are going to still be a thing. But events don't necessarily mean in-person conferences, though they could.
That's right.
Right. So I know you can pay the right person to get a list of everyone that attended a certain conference and reach out to those people saying, hey, we were both at X. We didn't get a chance to cross paths, or maybe you segmented with people you did meet. That's going to have a really high response rate every time because, well, it's a really relevant list. The problem is you're probably going to have to enrich that list. A lot of attendant lists don't come with all the emails and stuff, but it's a very good start.
Got it.
Webinars maybe?
Could be, or summit.
At least if you run, yeah. And if you're the summit runner, like you were, Jeremy, okay. That's kind of an inbound list, and yet it's still a place to filter through like who's showing up at what. I think intent data can potentially tell you this. I know Crunchbase has some info on events, but certainly worth looking at, especially if you have attended trade shows, conferences in order to win deals here.
Networking, even,
okay.
Networking events, potentially.
Yep. All that stuff, a good filter for accounts. Next, we've got social signals. So email marketers, this is kind of like a nice lesser known trick here. Email marketers can use Facebook likes in order to guesstimate how many email subscribers a company has. It's a pretty close correlation.
Interesting.
And it can be scraped, right? And so I have used Facebook likes to indicate which, let's say, e-commerce stores were at a certain level. Again, check it out with your existing customers.
How does that work? Like if I have, like, for example, on my Facebook feed, I don't know, an article on how to do the best, mohawk or some stuff like that. People will like that, and then so what? It's like it will only interest some part of people, or motorbiking, whatever.
It's totally separate. However, it just so happens that the effort that goes into building a list can, like, also be said that they're having some effort to build a Facebook audience, and those numbers are pretty close. Like it's just about as difficult to win a Facebook subscriber as it is to win a Facebook an email subscriber. So if a company
you're
has
the one getting the
Facebook likes,
right? Or the company, sorry, you're looking at the company's likes. Okay, got it.
Yeah, right. Okay. So if QuickMail has 100,000 likes, I'm going to guess that your email list is about 100,000 people. And it's like revenue. It's an estimation.
I love it.
But it can be pretty close. Okay, let's carry on.
Why would you use this one? Just sorry to
email marketers. So email marketers that offer let's say a service that ain't cheap is really tailored for those that have a lot of email subscribers. So Facebook likes could indicate so there's a subcategory of like social signals here. So ditto that for Twitter. If your customers or clients are active there, it might be worth inspecting that, seeing if there's some patterns. Potentially Jeremy, so let's say you were selling banner ads to YouTubers. You would want to see how many subscribers a channel had before you could, you know what I mean? So
makes sense.
Let's just call that social signals, and we'll move on here to marketing activity. So we've got like ad spend, specifically PPC. It would be nice potentially to find companies that were bidding for certain keywords. It would, especially if you offered, I don't know, PPC services around that space. That one's like well worn, but traffic, so monthly visits. If you have a
Alexa ranking type of thing.
So I don't like Alexa ranking.
Okay.
Because do you know how they compile Alexa ranks?
I bet it's for whoever's got installed their bar, which no one has these days.
You nailed it. So the bar, so let's say, I don't know, you're right. I don't know who has a bar installed, but they're tracking those people's behavior and assigning weights based on how many people with that Chrome extension or whatever that is visit pages. So I kind of think it's inaccurate. Instead, SEMrush tells you monthly visits. I don't know how they get it, but they get it. And if you're a Crunchbase subscriber, that SEMrush data is included, which is really nice, at least in terms of monthly visits. And keep in mind, let's say you're a content marketer. You may not want to talk to people who have less than 1,000 visits a month because they're clearly not trying with their website. So you may use that to filter out accounts, right?
Interesting. Yeah, love it.
Okay. And let's see here. The last thing for marketing activity, if they're running Facebook ads, if they're running LinkedIn ads, if they're even advertising in magazines, this is a really strong indication that this company's got a marketing budget, it's got an advertising budget, and they may or may not be doing well with it. So if I'm selling a marketing service, I'd certainly like to start with clients already paying money in that world.
Makes sense.
To some extent. Yeah. Okay. Carry on. So we've got communities. We've talked about using LinkedIn groups in order to find like psychographics. Let's say you wanted to find marketers interested in organic products. There's a group. It's either on Facebook or LinkedIn. It could be a Slack channel. There's a community there that you can join. You can scrape. You can do quite a number of things. But communities is not a bad place to go, right? All right, we're moving along here. We've got reviews. So you may want to find companies that are doing either really well or really poorly, depending on what you're selling. And I'll give you like one specific example. Let's say you sell a tool, Jeremy, that speeds up websites, or better yet, speeds up software web apps. Okay. I might go to a place like Capterra and do a keyword search for every tool they list and the keyword slow, right? And export all of the tools that show up as slow in order to identify, okay, these people need my help, right? So there's that. A lot of like, you can mine reviews for helping you indicate who needs help. I think, I think con men in the, I don't know, in the 80s or something were famous for going through newspapers. No, they would go through newspapers, and if it was like a headline of that, you know, young actress widowed at the age of 29, and they would look into it and they'd find like, okay, this person just inherited a lot of cash, and they would go like drive over and try and pull a scam. On a definitely not con artist note, I've done this before where I found there was an article in the Wall Street Journal talking about a Google update, right? This is what year? This is like 2010 maybe. I'm charging for SEO services like everyone else, trying to figure out the internet. Story. And and so this person was profiled because her site just like dropped by all of her business just screeched to a halt with the new whatever animal Google just updated. And I reached out to her with an email, and I basically just said, hey, I can help you get back on track. I'm happy to give you some pointers. And we ended up working together. So you can use those filters. We're getting sidetracked. Geography. Okay, so city, zip code list. If you've got territory where you're targeting, certainly use your geos.
Language. Country, language.
Language. Okay, so what about language, Jeremy? What about language?
Well, if the HQ is, for example, in France, then you may actually try to speak in French. That'd be probably easier than actually, you get a better reply rate than using German or English,
Right. What about the amount of languages they offer on their website?
Especially if you're a localization company type of thing.
Yeah, it's It's a big deal. I mean, you can even do like site specific Google searches to see if they offer their software tool in
Clever.
Spanish. And so yeah, if you're in the translation space, a lot of options there. If you're selling a tool that does translation, I mean, you can see where you might want to use language, but yeah, it's a
Or
spot on
plane
there.
tickets, just like discount on plane tickets if they have multiple offices.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so let's call it like local. So retail locations or office locations.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so it's funny, like all the way down to the list, I have industry, and I'm sure
Everyone starts
I
with
used
that.
to see industry as like the king, yeah. But it's the reason it's way down at the bottom is like
It's too
what
broad.
LinkedIn, Crunchbase, ZoomInfo describe as an industry, or the NCIS code or SIC code. They never talk the same language, right? The example we've talked about is if I'm a fitness app, I may call myself health, wellness, and fitness. I may call myself software. I may call myself internet, whatever. You get the idea.
Yeah, I got the same problem with QuickMail, honestly. Like, am I in IT? Am I in computing? Am I internet? It's just like, you never really know when you actually select.
What do you put? Software? You put computer software, right?
I may have put that, yeah. It's just because, I'm a geek. So, it speaks to my heart. What can I say?
There you go. So, but the lesson story, it's self-selected
Yeah.
for better, for worse. Okay. So next, I've got services provided / customers served. So you may not care what industry they are, and this is a lot more in line with how I'm playing with industry. It's like, I just want to know, do they serve this group or do they offer this service? So really simple way to find people that offer marketing service. Just go to clutch.co. It's like an agency directory. All those listed are not 100% founder added it, but it's pretty sure they offer certain services that they've gone through the trouble of saying these people do email, these people do advertising, whatever. So that's a nice place to start. You can also do that in URL :com/services and then type whatever service you want them to be giving. So that's going to be a Google result of every company that offers that service. You can even use negative keywords. So if you want WordPress designers that don't offer support because that's what you offer, then you could do negative support. And then that's a pretty good list to start with. You'll then have to filter, make sure they're in your country and all that. Use the other filters, but you get the idea.
I want to say a note here is that very often, especially with developers and people with my type of background, when they go and then do that prospecting, they always try to get 100%, correct, instead of actually just making sure you at least get 80% correct, and then you can scrub, the list more. They always try to find the perfect algorithms that actually handle all the cases instead of actually doing it in 2 passes. So yeah, just a caveat to avoid.
That's a great point. 100% accuracy without a human eye is the holy grail. But I mean, if we were still
5 years to get there, like you got time to build your list,
we'd
right?
still be using fax machines.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, a couple more here. We've got technology, right? We can filter if they're using a tool or not, or if they used to use a tool, or if they just dropped it, right? So
building up on your fax machine, you could check if they got a fax machine number to know how advanced they are technology.
And how do you do that? So watch, how do you do that? I would go
fax colon in Google.
Oh yeah, I mean that's even easier. So what I was thinking was, like, let's say having a fax line was a requisite for, let's say you wanted to find really old school companies, specifically old school law firms, right, that haven't upgraded to the digital age. I would probably start by scraping up Martingale. God, I'm going to get lawyers now reaching out to me, but it's a directory for lawyers, and kudos to them. They make it a little bit tough to scrape. But yeah, no, what you could do is I'd probably just grab all the websites and then feed each one to Google with like the word facts. And if a result comes up, they've got one. If that doesn't, it's not listed on the
Nice.
website. So anyways, a couple more local. Okay, so retail locations. So you may want to go after retailers that are of a certain caliber. You can narrow that down by how many places they have on Yelp, for example. And then web feature. That's the last one, Jeremy. Web feature. So imagine you're a
It's not
video
bad.
production company.
Mhm.
Let's say your video production. One of the filters may be, hey, I definitely don't want to be talking to a company if they already have a video on their website, right?
Clever.
Or what's very interesting is a filter could be, hey, I'm a video production agency, and I only want to talk to companies that have a video on their homepage because they already believe in it, and as videos go, it's generally not one and done, right? You make one, you release a new product, you update something, you make another, and it might be good for them to have pricing on hand for that next round. I don't know, but you get the idea. You can sort by website features, such as do they have a podcast link on their homepage so that you're talking to brands that believe in that channel. And then
Or if they have a contact form, maybe as well, or if they have some
there you go.
technology on their website, are they using, but those one are more classic, with built with and stuff like that. You figure out what technology they're using on their website.
What do you mean? Like if something's on their contact page?
Well, not necessarily, or like, for example, are they using Google Analytics and then you have like a different tool for that? Or, are they using Help Scout or what's the other one, like the very expensive one everyone, love but hate for the
Intercom?
pricing? Yeah, Intercom. Yeah. Do they use Intercom
Right.
or those sort of, things like that? Or, yeah. But those are like classic filters, people are
Yeah.
starting with that.
Did we name every filter? I'm sure.
I was
I
wondering
mean,
one for you, like, what about assets, like physical assets? That could be, number of car in their car fleet, or number of plane. Do they actually have planes?
oh,
But I was
wow.
wondering, like,
Okay.
what would that do to know this information? So how would I get this information, and why would I actually want to?
Okay.
What
I'll tell
would
you.
I do? Oh, you tell me. Good.
I'll tell you. Yep. So I don't know how, but ZoomInfo has the fleet, like the truck fleet, as a
Oh,
filter.
okay.
And you can sort by, they have at least 10 trucks if they're an appliance repair company, if they're an electric company. Again,
Yeah.
that is granular, right? But you can, if you, right. So at that level, though, it's almost like finding
The
the
revenue.
niche provider that,
Yeah, like how much they're making, or how much clients they have, or distribution power, like it's number of
yeah,
retail store kind of thing.
I worked with let's say a marketer who was providing a service to an industry, a niche industry, and one of their criteria was like, hey, I don't touch it if it's he called it Uncle Buck in a truck. I need to know that they have a fleet of trucks on the road in order for them to afford our services. So multiple trucks was a filter, and in order to get that, we were using VAs to look at the homepage, and every one of these kind of companies, they had a banner image. If they were this big, they'd have a banner image of their trucks, right? To
So
show
funny.
people like 5 trucks. And so it'd be as simple as like just checking the homepage for the banner image. Sometimes, right?
Look at
But
that, me again trying to find like a technical solution where a human one is so much faster. Like, well, just look at the website.
faster, I guess. I guess it's faster.
I'm not going to do like an
It's
image
still slow,
recognition
but
stuff.
yeah. Today, but it could be a library that's like you can ask Google how many trucks are in this photo, and then just scrape all the banner images, something, whatever.
Yeah,
We're getting into a
we're
little
getting
bit of
sidetracked
the
here.
intangible.
Yeah,
but I think we have like 50 filters. 50,
definitely with
more.
a fax machine. I think that added a fifth one, 50th
Yes.
50th 50th one. Who did you say
Did
that?
we mention keyword, Jeremy? That's a big one. Keyword. So if you want to find companies that describe themselves with a certain keyword, so wow, imagine
Like if they mention integrity on their website, then they're open to be corrupted, kind of thing. Like Enron and stuff
potentially.
like that.
Think about this. Yeah. Let's say, okay, I know somebody that was selling classes to like big corporations on how to do like home gardening while everyone was doing like work at home, right? So they were like, we want to go after companies that have like that value their company culture a lot. So you might use Glassdoor and find companies that have the word like strong company culture, or even better, if they mention that on their about page, like it's really important to them to have this company culture. So if company culture is mentioned on about, for example, right? I don't know how important that would be, but you get the idea. You can use a keyword to narrow down the belief of an organization, which can be really powerful if you play to that belief. Like, this will help your company culture, whatever.
And your outreach as well.
Yeah.
Their email.
Okay, and I think that's it. I'm sure I'll add stuff. Maybe we'll revisit this, but for now,
6 hours later, I think we nailed them all. Yeah. No, a great cast.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks a lot, Jack.
Yeah. And yeah, thanks, Jeremy. And if you listen to this and found it useful, send a message at podcast@quickmail.io. Let us know if there was one filter that you hadn't considered that you're going to start, or if you have any feedback, or even better, can you add to this list? I'll challenge you to add to this list if you can, and then we need to give you a shout out.
Number of gender thing, like gender ratio. I'm not sure if that could be an interesting one. Like if you have some, feminine product or masculine product.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I would bucket that with who they're serving. So like who their customers are potentially. But I know.
Or age, average age in that company. Do you know if it's a cool company of 20 years old?
That's a good one.
It's like an old school type of thing. Could be.
Do they have a ping pong table in the break room? Right.
That's come under assets, of course. How many ping pong table do they have? All right, awesome.
Yeah,
where do people need to go if they want to learn more about cold email? Tell us, Jack.
Go to course.quickmail.io. It's where Jeremy have done more than several dozens, nay, hundreds of brain dumping sessions, both in person and online, where we just use it as our, not swipe file, but this library of cold email strategy that we don't have the luxury of diving into and doing whiteboards on the podcast. This is the fun stuff. The nuts and bolts, the real shebang is in course.quickmail.io. And it takes you from, I have a pretty good grip of cold email, to, okay, great, I've got this lead generating machine built and my team runs most of it. And I'm spending most of my time, having conversations with potential paying customers. So
if you want
to give it a try. Yeah.
If you want to bring up one person on your team, up to speed with cold email, this is well organized. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like we got a lot of value into the podcast, but look at how many hours of podcasts you need to listen to. Here we condensed it a little bit and organized it better. So it makes training that much easier. Very good point. And shout out to Nate, who actually was using the course and just signed up yesterday for this exact purpose. So welcome, Nate. And check it out, course.quickmail.io. Jeremy, thanks so much. I think this was a good one. Thanks, Jack, for putting all those filters. I didn't have to do much. That was an awesome cast. Thank you, man. Okay, killer. Okay, see ya. Catch you later.